let's talk a little bit about Apple. I mean, Apple not too long ago was still trading below its 200-day moving average line, and now it's, got back above the 50, got back above the 200, and now we have this developer conference that is going to be going on, and of course, AI for a while there, it seemed like people were just kind of shoving AI in wherever they could in their earnings conference calls and stuff. It was like, how many times can I say AI to make my stock go up? But this is a real thing, right? With the potential of adding in-device AI. What are your thoughts on this, Ken?
Well, I think it's a stock, clearly that's worth paying attention to here. It had that earnings gap, and it just has continued its move higher. Now, as it gets closer to the 200 level, maybe you'd expect a little bit of a little bit of a consolidation, maybe a handle forms here. But the developer conference gets underway today, and it's going to go all week. I think Tim Cook, the CEO, the keynote starts. Today at 10 a.m. Pacific time, so 1 o'clock Eastern. And they're going to, the bulk of it, again, is going to be about AI, just putting AI features into the iPhone and iPad and other hardware, and also Siri getting the voice assistant getting an AI makeover as well. So I know when you're doing a search on Facebook's Instagram, they have had AI has been incorporated there for quite some time. So Apple, playing maybe playing a little catch up here, but I think the stock's relative strength has been super impressive, and maybe we'll see an entry here sooner rather than later.
Hmm. Now, how is an investor to handle this kind of, as the developer conference is going on, the, news comes out, and it used to be, I mean, back in the day when Apple was coming out with new products, new features for these products, overhauls, some of these conferences that they would have and announcements, product announcements, all of that would have a very big impact, and it would be very closely watched by investors. Is this something that people should be watching for the news intraday, or is this kind of like, doesn't have to be that closely watched anymore?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's probably a little more buzz around this conference just because it is going to be all about artificial intelligence. And while a lot of companies have been very busy announcing their progress, Apple has still been kind of quiet. So we're going to get some information today. Now, at other past developers conferences in the past, Apple might have run up in anticipation of good news
Hmm.
from a conference, and then they get that good news, and then the stock, sells the news. So you've
Or
had
sometimes it wasn't as good as people thought, it wasn't
yeah,
as exciting as people thought. Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
So sell the news is a pretty common occurrence. And again, there was a really positive response to earnings here, and it's been running up since then. So it's either been, running up, post earnings enthusiasm, or maybe it's been running up in anticipation of what the company is going to say today. So again, the keynote starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll hear what Tim Cook has to say. But I think what investors need to know now is that this is in a good technical setup. So if this were to just rush above the 200 level with some volume, I think that would be a breakout. And we know we were just looking at Spotify's breakouts from bases are a bit tricky. You don't know if they're going to work or not. But I think if Apple can get above 200 with some good strong volume, that would be a pretty compelling move in my opinion.
Mhm. Anything to add, Mike, especially with the kind of intraday news? I mean, with earnings, we've gotten used to having that news come out in either the pre-market or the aftermarket. So it's not while the stock is trading, but this is something that's going on. It's going on. And I mean, look, there's a lot of stocks that have these conferences and investor days and things that are going on during market hours. How do you handle something like Apple when you have this news event going on during market hours?
Well, it's kind of like a Fed day. You don't
Mhm.
want to take it too seriously, the intraday action, because a lot of that is driven by algos, text reading algos. So they'll so folks know what I mean by that. There are companies that, hedge funds that are set up where they have, just text reading in real time. If Tim Cook says this, then we're going to do this. We're going to buy or sell. And then you have other algos that are just technically based. If it goes through the high of the day, they're going to do this. If it goes through the low or does whatever. So you have a lot of those things that aren't real buying or real selling that will move the stock around. So that's a time to use a TWAP, a time weighted average price, if you want in or out. I would say that Apple is very wedgy right here, meaning, which is a negative thing, where you haven't really shaken out.
I remember high school. Wedgies are negative. Yeah.
I never,
I
never received nor gave a wedgie, but I was one of the dudes who, kind of protected the guys who were getting the wedgies. But that's just my personality, for better or worse. So that last shakeout there, where you started that line, was, that was your last time that anyone was really tested. So you want another test in there. So ideally, this would intraday have a little bit of a shakeout, maybe a few percent, and then go back up. And that's where I'd be wanting to, buy it if I wanted some exposure there. But I'm more looking at this as rather than buying Apple itself, but what impact it has on the spiders, the Qs. Of course, it's in the Dow as well. So it impacts the broad market. So we just want something positive. We just don't want them to come out and drop the ball and have it be kind of like those overpriced glasses that they came out with last year that wasn't, didn't really impress me. It's like, who's going to buy these? Okay, so you've got, a really small slice. I thought that was a little silly, but I don't think Steve Jobs would have done that if he was around. So anyways, we used to watch this like a hawk when they would have.
And it wasn't just Apple. Sometimes we'd have to watch the suppliers too. It's like, you're making the little wheel for the iPod, and there were all sorts of things that would be affected as well, based on these conferences.
Big time. So I would really wait to do anything with it until after it's over. Like once he's done talking and they say that it's over, I'd wait a half an hour, let the wiggles and wobbles. If you're just dying to do something with it, wait until then. I wouldn't buy it during or mid or whatever, because I've seen them spike up, come back down. And if you'd like to have any tight stops, you're just going to get chopped up.
And I like how you likened it to a Fed day, because you have a lot of times there's the announcement, there's the reaction, then there's the counter reaction, and sometimes the next day, you get your counter reaction, as all the algos are kind of just doing their thing, and then investors come in and say, well, no, that's not exactly what was being said. So yeah, definitely very good points.
Pretend like Mike Tyson is on the other side of you when you're going into something like this. Like, you really want to bob and weave as much as that guy can do.
Do not get hit.
Don't get hit. Yeah.